What is simple living? Simple living is about you being happy in your life, you being able to choose to do the things that you want to do because you're living a simple life, you having the freedom to do what you want to do when you do it. So how do you do that in this crazy, busy, complicated world? Goose Pond Hideout with Rob. So I get a lot of questions about how do you live simple in today's complicated world. And the questions on my older videos about how to do that. And people, say, well, I have to have nice clothes for my job, or I need to have a nice car, or there's no way I can do this or that. But you can. And so what are some things that anybody can do given their situation of, wherever they are in their life right now? And the absolute number one thing that you can do, that I do, that anybody can do is unplug. Disconnect your life. And I mean, like the internet, right? Careful what you mean by unplugging. But the internet, disconnect from the internet. And wow, motorcycle. How about that? They're unplugged, right, on their motorcycle. But at night I turn my phone off every night. I put it on the charger in the dining room of the house. So it's on the dining room table, and it's plugged into the wall charger, and I turn it off so it's not in the bedroom. I disconnect about 11 o'clock at night, and I turn it on about 7 in the morning after I've started the pot of coffee. So, that's something that anyone can do. You can do that today. Anybody, because there's no way you have to be connected when you're in bed sleeping. If your boss needs you that bad, or somebody in your family or whatever, it can wait till the morning. That's the way it used to be. And, that's another thing too, that when we think about simple living is, simple living doesn't necessarily mean being a minimalist. You don't have to live in a white box with nothing in there. That if you want to live that way, that's fine, but that is not necessarily what simple living is. It isn't going back in time. You don't have to live Little House on the Prairie that's not necessarily simple living. You can live in today's world simply. You don't have to live, an old-fashioned Little House on the Prairie life. Yes, frugalness is a big part of simple living, but you incorporate it into, your current day situation. So those are all things that apply to simple living. And there are certainly things that you can do today is, be aware, live in the moment. A lot of things that people do, and I do it too, I catch myself occasionally, is you need to be aware of where you are, living in the moment. A lot of times we end up just going through the motions. We talk about living in the rat race in the normal world, and that is you get sucked into that busyness and doing things to save time, but do they really save time? So as you go through your day, think about what you're doing and think, is this activity making my life better? Is it making things simpler and easier for me? Or is it making things complicated? And I make a pot of coffee in the morning. I get up and I turn on a light and I go in the kitchen, and the very first thing I usually do is, is make the pot of coffee. Are you a person that gets in your car and on your way, to work or wherever you're going, are you, stopping at a Starbucks, a Dunkin' Donuts, a whatever kind of place, and, getting a cup of coffee? Because you don't have time to make that coffee at home, so you'll just, stop on your way out. Well, you're sitting going through a drive-through, you're spending a bunch of money, and, it's just make that pot of coffee at home. Simplify eating. Is, we hardly ever eat out anymore, and it's due for quite a few reasons, but is eating out doesn't necessarily make your life simpler. Prepare your food at home. Well, I don't have time to, make a meal. By the time I get home from work and it's late, and, so I just stop and go through another drive-through on the way home, or even go at a sit-down quickie restaurant and, have your dinner. It really isn't that hard. We eat really simple meals. We typically have 2 items for our meal, and, we eat meat eaters, I guess you could say. We're not carnivores, but, we have a lot of chicken, and we typically throw that into a crock pot and then put our, different flavorings and things in there. And then we have a second dish, a side dish, whatever you want to call it. It might be rice, it might be mashed potatoes, it might be green beans, carrots, corn, cucumbers, whatever. And we just have a, simple meal. And it doesn't necessarily, if you're vegetarian, that's fine. But just, make 2 items. I think we're having tonight or tomorrow is actually tonight we're having hot dogs and beans. Saturday night, hot dogs and beans. And tomorrow we're having a black bean quesadilla, just a simple vegetable quesadilla. And I like black beans, so we're focusing on black beans. But make simple meals at home. You can do it. Just, 2 things. If you gotta have, 3 things, whatever. But keep your meal super simple. And that's the, the greatest thing that you can do, because as you go through your day, again, you don't have to get a coffee on your way to work. You don't have to eat out at restaurants or bring fast food home. Make simple meals. That's all things that you can do. You don't have to live Little House on the Prairie. It's just, think about what you're doing as you go through your day. What are you spending your money on? What is absorbing and taking up all your time, that you can do those things simpler at home to make your life happier, because that's what it really is all about. It's about being happy, having the freedom to do the things that you want to do, where you spend your time on what you want to spend your time on. So hope that makes sense.